The glittering, 30 and fabulous banner seemed to mock me from across the room. I'd never been one for big parties, preferring a quiet dinner with my boyfriend Leo or a hike with friends, but my younger sister, Chloe, had insisted. Maya, it's a milestone. You can't slink into your 30s like a wet cat. We're throwing a bash. And Chloe, with her hurricane energy and undeniable charm, always got her way. Our backyard in suburban Connecticut was transformed. Twinkling fairy lights were strung between the old oak trees. A rented heater fought the crisp October chill, and the air buzzed with the laughter of friends, colleagues, and a startling number of Chloe's vibrant, noisy friends. I smoothed the emerald green silk of my dress, a gift from Leo. You look like a queen, he'd whispered, his hand warm on my lower back. He was my anchor in the cheerful chaos. Chloe, resplendent in a daring red mini dress, was the undisputed captain of the ship, glass of champagne perpetually in hand, her laugh ringing louder than anyone else's. At 27, she was the life of every party, the center of every story. I loved her fiercely, but our dynamic was etched in childhood stone. She was the spontaneous, dramatic comet. I was the steady, predictable ground. And her spontaneity often came at my expense. Remember my 16th, she'd crowed earlier, slinging an arm around my neck. When I accidentally pushed you into the pool with your dress on. Classic, the guests had laughed. I'd forced a smile, the memory of heavy, sopping fabric and ruined makeup still vivid. As the night deepened, the moment arrived. The crowd hushed as Leo and Chloe emerged from the kitchen, carrying a magnificent two-tiered vanilla cake adorned with delicate sugar flowers and a single, elegant candle. Happy birthday swelled around me. I closed my eyes, made a wish for a peaceful, purposeful year, and leaned forward to blow out the candle. I never got the chance. Prank, Chloe shrieked, her voice slicing through the song. In a blur of red, her hands weren't gently placing the cake before me. They were shoving it, with both arms and the full force of her body, directly into my face. The world dissolved into a sticky, crumbly, blinding whiteness. The impact was shocking, a thick, sickening smash that jarred my teeth, crushed my nose, and sent a lightning bolt of pain through my skull. I stumbled back, gasping, choking on frosting and cake. The weight of it, the sheer violence of the shove, was nothing like the playful dab of icing I'd half expected. Silence. Then, a few of Chloe's friends erupted in nervous, hesitant giggles. "Oh my God, Chloe, you totally annihilated her," someone yelled. I clawed the cake from my eyes, my vision blurry with buttercream and tears of shock. I saw Leo's horrified face. I saw my colleagues' stunned expressions. And I saw Chloe, hands over her mouth, her eyes sparkling with triumphant glee. "Got you! Happy birthday, Maya." You should see your face. But something was very wrong. A sharp, insistent pain was growing in my nose, throbbing in time with my heartbeat. A warm, sticky trickle, different from the slick frosting, was dripping down my upper lip. I tasted copper, blood. "Leo," I mumbled, my voice muffled by cake. He was already at my side, his hands gentle on my shoulders. "Jesus, Chloe, what the hell?" he snapped, his voice tight with anger. He grabbed a stack of napkins and tried to wipe my face, but I flinched. The pain was intensifying, a deep, nauseating ache spreading across my cheekbones and behind my eyes. "It's just a joke, Leo." "Don't be so serious," Chloe protested, still laughing, though it sounded forced now. "Lighten up." "It's tradition." I tilted my head back, trying to stem the blood flow, but a wave of dizziness washed over me. The twinkling lights began to streak and blur. A new, terrifying symptom emerged, a soft, crunching sensation in the bridge of my nose every time I tried to breathe. And then the world started to narrow, sounds becoming distant and echoey. "Maya. Maya, look at me." The voice belonged to Dr. Evans, a neighbor and emergency room physician who lived 2 houses down. My parents had invited him. He was suddenly there, his party demeanor gone, replaced by a sharp, clinical focus. He gently took my face in his hands, his thumbs carefully wiping away some of the mess around my eyes. "Don't move your head, follow my finger with your eyes only." I tried, but the dizziness worsened. He shone the flashlight from his phone into my pupils, one then the other. "Her pupils are sluggish to react," he said quietly to Leo. "And that's not just a nosebleed. The nasal bridge is visibly deformed. This is a significant facial trauma." "It's just a cake," Chloe insisted, her voice pitching higher. "You're overreacting." "Maya, tell them you're fine." I tried to speak, but only a pained groan came out. The crunching feeling was horrifying. Dr. Evans didn't even look at her. His eyes were fixed on mine, and in them I saw real concern. "Maya, I'm hearing something called crepitus. That's the sound of bone fragments. And with your dizziness and visual disturbance, this isn't a joke. You could have a nasal fracture, orbital involvement, or even a mild traumatic brain injury from the whiplash effect." He straightened up, pulling his phone from his pocket. "I'm not waiting. You need a CT scan, now," he dialed. The party was utterly silent now. All the laughter was gone. "Yes, I need an ambulance at 17 Maple Ridge." 30-year-old female, conscious but disoriented, significant blunt force facial trauma from an assault. Yes, assault. Possible complex nasal fracture, rule out orbital fracture and TBI. "I'm on scene, it's Ben Evans from County General." The word assault hung in the air like poison gas. Chloe's face went from smug to ashen. "Assault? It was a birthday prank, a tradition." "You're ruining everything." The next few minutes were a blur of surreal misery. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, shattering the quiet of our upscale neighborhood. Red and blue lights pulsed against the trees, painting the horrified faces of my guests in grotesque shades. 2 EMTs, a man and a woman, materialized with a gurney. They were professional and kind, asking me questions as they carefully stabilized my neck with a collar and helped me onto the stretcher. The last thing I saw before they wheeled me through the gate, past the staring crowd, was Chloe sobbing in my mother's arms and my father looking lost. Leo climbed into the ambulance, his hand never leaving mine. At the hospital, time fractured. There was the blinding brightness of the CT scanner, the cold, antiseptic smell of the ER, the relentless throb in my face. A young, serious-faced doctor confirmed Dr. Evans's suspicions. A complex comminuted nasal fracture. My nose was essentially crushed, a hairline fracture of the orbital floor under my left eye, and a concussion. "The force required to do this with a cake is considerable," the ER doctor said, her tone neutral but her eyes flicking to Leo. "Was there a fall? Or was something else involved?" Leo's jaw was clenched. "It was shoved, hard, as a prank." The doctor just nodded slowly, making a note. The word prank sounded absurd in this context, surrounded by beeping monitors and stark white walls. The on-call ENT specialist was summoned. His verdict was brutal. "This isn't a simple break we can pop back into place in the office, Maya. The septum is shattered. The bones are pushed back. You're going to need reconstructive surgery, a septorhinoplasty, once the swelling goes down in about a week. And the orbital floor fracture is stable for now, but we'll need to watch it. No blowing your nose, no strenuous activity, strict concussion protocol, reconstructive surgery." The words echoed in my concussed brain. This wasn't a mishap, it was a disfigurement. I was released in the pre-dawn hours, my face a swollen, bruised mask, my nose packed with gauze, my head pounding. Leo took me to his apartment, as the thought of facing my family home was unbearable. He helped me wash the last remnants of cake and dried blood from my hair, his touch infinitely gentle. He didn't say much, just pressed a kiss to my unharmed forehead. The anger radiated off him in waves, but it was a protective, focused anger. The fallout was swift and bitter. My phone blew up. Messages from guests ranged from sympathetic, "OMG, are you okay?" to vaguely accusatory, "Chloe feels awful, you know. It was just a joke gone wrong." My mother called, her voice thick with tears. "Honey, she's devastated. She never meant for this to happen. You know how she gets. Can you just talk to her? Forgive her, she's your sister." That was the refrain, "She's your sister." It was a joke. She feels bad. But where was my apology? It came days later in the form of a florist's bouquet of lilies, which I was allergic to, and a text. "I'm sorry you got hurt." But you know I'd never hurt you on purpose. Everyone is acting like I'm a monster. It was a cake. Maybe if you weren't so fragile, this wouldn't have happened. Can we just move on? Love you. I stared at the screen, a cold fury crystallizing inside me, sharper than any pain from my fractures. Fragile. The blame was mine. My injury was an overreaction. Leo encouraged me to press charges. That wasn't a prank, Maya. That was battery, doctor. Evans called it an assault because that's what it was. But the idea of sending my sister to jail made me feel sick. The legal path was a nuclear option, one I couldn't stomach. But doing nothing, accepting her non-apology, felt like a betrayal of myself. The surgery a week later was successful, but the recovery was long and humiliating. The bruises faded from purple to green to yellow. The swelling subsided slowly. But the mirror showed a stranger, a nose that was still tender and different, a subtle sadness in my eyes that hadn't been there before. The psychic wound was deeper. I had nightmares of the moment of impact, waking up gasping, the taste of cake and blood in my mouth. I withdrew. I took medical leave from my job as a graphic designer. I avoided my parents' calls. Chloe, I heard through the grapevine, had initially played the wounded party, then left for a spontaneous trip to Miami with friends, posting pictures of herself laughing on beaches. The scandal apparently forgotten. Her social media was a monument to her unbroken spirit. My healing began in an unexpected place, a support group for people with facial injuries. Hearing others talk about the loss of identity, the stares, the well-meaning but hurtful comments made me feel less alone. My therapist called Chloe's act a profound violation of boundaries disguised as familial intimacy. She helped me see that my desire for a quiet dinner wasn't fragile, it was me. And my birthday was supposed to be a celebration of that, not a stage for Chloe's performance. The final straw came 2 months later. My parents insisted on a reconciliation dinner. They came to Leo's apartment, their faces pinched with worry. Chloe arrived late, breezing in with a bottle of wine. She looked at my face, now mostly healed but permanently altered in subtle ways, and said, "Wow, you look almost back to normal, see? All that drama for nothing." That was it. The last thread of my patience snapped. "Get out," I said, my voice quiet but steady. "What?" Chloe laughed, disbelieving. "Get out of my home." "You are not welcome here." "Maya, please," my mother begged. "She said she's sorry." "No, she didn't. She said she was sorry I got hurt. She said I was fragile." She has never, not once, taken real responsibility for what she did. She didn't just ruin a cake, Mom. She broke my face. She gave me a concussion. She caused me to need reconstructive surgery. And then she went on vacation. I turned to Chloe, all the cold fury finally finding its voice. "You are not a fun, spontaneous sister. You are a bully. Your pranks have always been about you feeling powerful at my expense, but this wasn't a push into a pool. This was violence. And until you can look me in my surgically reconstructed face and say, 'I am so sorry for what I did to you. It was violent, it was wrong, and I will never do anything like it again.'" We have nothing to say to each other. The room was silent. Chloe's mouth hung open, her face red with a mixture of shock and indignation. She sputtered, but no coherent defense came out. For the first time in our lives, I had named the truth, and it stripped her of all her weapons. She stormed out. My parents left soon after, heartbroken but finally, perhaps, beginning to see the canyon that Chloe had carved. I didn't press charges, but I did send her a formal letter from a lawyer, outlining the medical costs she was responsible for and stating that any future contact would be considered harassment. It wasn't vengeance, it was a boundary made of steel. A year later, on the eve of my 31st birthday, I am in a different city. I moved with Leo to a sunny apartment in California, a place with no memories. My new nose suits my face. The scars are internal, but they have hardened into something like resilience. I work freelance, creating beautiful designs on my own terms. My circle is small, filled with people who understand that love should not come with a side of public humiliation. Chloe and I are not in contact. My relationship with my parents is strained but slowly mending on new, more honest terms. They visit California, and we talk about real things, not just the weather and avoiding the elephant in the room. Sometimes I think about that night. The shock, the pain, the horrifying crunch. But I also think about Dr. Evans's calm voice calling 911, Leo's unwavering hand in the ambulance, the quiet strength I found in myself in the aftermath. Chloe's prank was meant to reduce me, to make me the butt of the joke one more time. Instead, it shattered the old dynamic completely. It freed me. My birthday this year will be a quiet dinner on the beach with Leo. There will be a small, beautiful cupcake. I will blow out the candle without fear. The tradition of terror is broken. I step into my 31st year not as the victim of a joke, but as the author of my own, much quieter, much happier story. And that's the story of the birthday prank that crossed every line. Remember, a joke stops being funny the second someone gets hurt, physically or emotionally. Real bonds are built on respect, not on laughter at someone else's expense. If you found Maya's journey from trauma to strength compelling, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about overcoming life's unexpected challenges. Let us know in the comments, have you ever had a family prank go too far? How did you handle it? Thanks for watching, and remember, be kind, because you never know what battles someone is fighting, even at their own birthday party. See you next time.